You didn't start.
I've heard people say getting atheists together is like herding cats. Or if you've got three atheists in a room, you've got four opinions on something. You just can't get free thinkers to organize. Well, I think that's crap. Not only can atheists organize, but we have to. Now more than ever, we need to come together to build thriving, diverse, and functioning communities. And for that, we need good leaders. To get that, we need classes that teach us how to lead. So good news, our guest today is going to tell us how we can do this and how you can help build the next generation of secular leaders. But hey, if you think atheist community is a bad idea, give us a call because the show's starting right now. What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us. Today is April 5th, 2026, and that's right, I am your host, the Secular Jesus Christ. I appreciate all of you for joining us today. I have spent the last few days fighting my way out of both a linen cloth that I do hope my followers will find in the future and know of my presence, as well as rolling a very large boulder out of the way. So I'm very proud that I have come back to you this second time, and I just want to say that all of your sins are forgiven on this holiest of days. So thank you so much, folks, for joining with us today. I'm really excited that we are going to have a fun show. And not only are we doing this on YouTube, but we're actually streaming is what I have been told. Now, I am not hip enough to know exactly what that means, but that tells me that we are on TikTok, YouTube, mobile, and just your regular horizontal YouTube show. So we will actually be checking on TikTok. And if you'd like to talk to us, just request to join and we'll bring you up on stage. Just make sure that you are 18 years of age before doing so. Worth noting that this wonderful show, The Atheist Experience, is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. I think all of those things are absolutely freaking wonderful, and I'm wondering if we could get our awesome backup host up here today. We have somebody super cool with me, somebody that I have never made fun of on this show or any others whatsoever. It is Sophia. What's up?
Hello. I guess you better not make fun of me behind my back.
Right.
If you do, please do it to my face so
Good.
that I can also enjoy.
Yes,
It's
yes.
really just about that.
That's really what it is, you know? And that's what friends do. Friends tell each other to their faces, hey, please stop that, man. It's really annoying. Nobody enjoys this.
Nobody
By the
thinks you're
way,
funny. Nobody.
and you know, not to like anybody in particular, Kevin, but just throwing this out there, okay? Like when you grill stuff, a lot of times, like you like don't season it a bunch, you know? And all that we're asking is when we come over on Thursdays for the monthly thing, if you could just maybe just let us do it once, you know? Like I know how to grill. A lot of us know how to cook.
I love how
no one in particular.
You know, Kevin is the most generic white dude name I can think of. And so it's just like some generic white dude isn't seasoning grilled meat. That's the shot.
That's so surprising, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Who would have thought?
The number of Kevins that applied to who could be listening. Like,
There's
no.
So many people feel called out right now.
They're really going to think you are Jesus.
I prophesy. That's right.
Yeah.
I am here for it.
Is it a prophecy or just an observation of a thing?
Probably, yeah. It's probably just an accurate description of the world that we live in, you know,
Yeah.
fortunately or unfortunately. But the good news is that we are not here to cook. We are not here to grill. Maybe we'll grill a little, you know, if they've got bad ideas or bad arguments, maybe we'll grill a little. So
and don't the cool kids say like cooking, like that's a good thing? Like she's cooking or cooking and eating or both slang.
Yeah, they're both cooked and cooking, right? Are both they're the terminologies that the youngins are using.
Mm-hmm.
Does that already make me even older than I am just by saying the youngins? Is
An
that
olden. Yes,
an olden,
I
right?
believe so. You are an olden.
An olden but a good one.
Youngin.
That's right.
An olden but an okay.
The,
I feel like I'm,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the crew is like just furiously shaking their heads right now. they're just very disappointed with us.
This is not why people tune into this show.
You know what? That's okay. That's all right. There is a reason that people tune into this show, though, and one of those reasons is because we get some calls from people who have arguments for the existence of a god or the supernatural things, and we are open to having our minds changed. I am willing to change my position if I am presented with some good stuff. And of all days, I think this is a good day for us to get some arguments for the existence of God. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, if you're going to be saved, why not on Zombie Jesus Chocolate Day? I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to really own that like Easter is an atheist pagan thing, but I just think Zombie Jesus Chocolate Day is cute. I don't know.
I really enjoy that, and I wish they would do chocolate Easter bunnies and like Jesus Easter chocolate things, like that would be super fun. Just imagine a little statue of Jesus like that, but all chocolate.
Have you seen those little, like, I see them everywhere now, these little plastic Jesuses?
Oh, yeah. I've got one somewhere on my desk, actually.
They're everywhere. I've
Yeah.
like seen them in a public toilet. I'm
Yep.
like, at some point, this has got to feel sacrilegious, right? This has got to feel weird to the people who are holding on to it.
So since you brought it up, I will throw this out there. I feel like at some point in the Bible, and I don't remember where entirely, but there was like a list of like 7, 8, 9, something like that. Like what I guess like commands, I guess if you would, and one of those specifically was something about like graven images or idols or.
Yeah.
What do you think that was? I don't remember.
I'm sure it doesn't apply to, evangelicals putting, non-biodegradable bits into also plastic Easter eggs that are probably made in, shops around the world that are inhumane in their labor practices. I'm sure that's an exception.
No, I'm sure there's nothing about that practice at all that in any way, shape, or form could be viewed as anti-biblical or anti-Christian. Yeah.
And hey, you know what is worse? So many things went through my head that became so potentially problematic to say on air, but I was just going to sort of generally vaguely gesture toward the left. They're bad. They're worse anyway, no matter what is done. But
yes, it is true. But
and insert there all the inappropriate things I could have said that you might be thinking if you're a listener. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we do have some wonderful calls that are already coming in, and I am very excited to go to some of these. What if we grab a call real quick, and then we will bring on our awesome special guest and talk about some cool things that we can do to get secular leadership going. What do you think, Sophia?
Sure, sounds great. I'm happy to stay here for the first call.
Let's do it. I want to take a call with you because I think this one will be fun. We are going to go.
First call together.
I know, right? This is a big deal. This is 1 year from now. We'll remember this. So, we have Steve in Ohio, no pronouns given, is a theist and wants to talk about some biblical prophecies. So I'm into it, Steve. You are on the Atheist Experience with Sophia and Secular Rarity. What's up?
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate that. I was the current events with everything going on. I figured I'd give you a call and give you my insight. So
give us.
I don't know. Okay. We're Daniel chapter 8. I've been eyeballing that story for a long time, like 30 years, 30 plus. So I got kind of stuck on it because it was about, I thought, our country. But anyways, so that's where we're at. So I don't know where we're going to, I know a lot about it, so I don't know where to go from here. So it's Daniel chapter 8.
Yeah, no worries. That's already a decent spot. And so like, let me just see if I'm following with you here. It sounds like what you're saying is like this passage in the Bible is kind of referencing some of the things that we're seeing going on today in the world and in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
And yeah, okay.
100%, yes. 100, not,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is is there ever really a time in the history of humanity where we couldn't make that connection? Like let's say like 150 years ago. Like, do you think it would be fair that somebody 150 years ago could look at that passage and then go, wow, the stuff that's happening right now in the Middle East kind of looks like...
No. The
really?
goat that flies across, well, there's a flying goat that goes across the whole earth, it says in the story. It's the B2 spirit. And it goes over there and attacks the ram, and then it returns without ever touching the ground.
Hold on, just a second. Hang on just a second for me, okay? I just want to make sure we're on I just want to try to be on the same page as much as possible, Steve.
I'm sorry.
I don't
go ahead.
I don't want to fight or anything, but clarification.
Did I say something wrong? You tell me what you need, okay?
Yeah, no. I just want to understand, like, when you say there's like a goat flying and it attacks a ram, are you talking about like actual animals? Like, is there an actual goat that's flying?
Yeah, I am actually talking about a flying goat. It's in Daniel chapter 8. It talks about a goat that crosses the whole earth without touching the ground. It's in verse 5.
Okay.
And it's a king too. It's our first king, it says, and that was interesting that he said that.
Okay.
So,
well, hang on, just real quick, Steve. I want to make sure we're on the same page again.
Yep.
I get that what you're referencing is talking about a goat that flies, and I'm asking you, do you think that goats can fly, and do you think one is currently doing that towards the Middle East? You
absolutely.
Okay, so hang on. No, hold up right there. That's a beautiful place. That's a beautiful spot. Just to pause. Sophia, is there anything about that statement that you think is kind of off? Is there anything about that statement, Sophia, you're a little confused about?
That a literal goat is flying through the sky and
it's a symbol.
Fly.
It's a symbol.
Okay. Well, just a second ago, you said you thought goats could fly, and there was one flying.
No. I'm saying. Well, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's symbolic. It's the flying B2 spirit, is what I was saying. I did say that.
Okay.
It's the flying goat. It's even got the face on it. If you look at its face, it's got eyes, mouth, nose, snout. It's got all the features.
Hang on.
Okay.
So just to be clear, you're not saying that the actual animal, a goat, that thing with like the hair and the ba and the hooves and the horns, you're not saying that's flying. What you're saying is that is referencing a plane that the United States is currently sending over to the Middle East.
Yes, the B2 spirit. It even
why would hang on. I'm with you, Steve. We don't have to. We can go just one at a time.
Okay.
Why do you make that connection? What about that passage that makes you think it's referencing this thing now?
Okay, because the story in verse 17 and 19 says it's time of the end. Okay, so we're at the end of the age right now. That's number one. And what was the other question?
According to
what age are we ending, and according to what?
Well, according to the story here, we're at the end of the age, it says, okay? And just one other thing is the word fury is in verse 6, and that's epic to me. We're attacking them right now.
But it came to a two-horned ram. What is the two-horned ram that the one-horned goat is attacking?
It's the Medes and Persians.
Okay, so you're thinking
the supreme leader and the president. Go ahead.
Okay, so you're thinking that the two-horned ram is Iran. Is that what I'm gathering here?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say all this, actually. You asked me questions, though. I don't know what you want me, yes, you're right.
We're not talking about specific political parties or anything. This is just, we can reference that a country exists in the world. I appreciate your caution, though. Okay, and the ram was powerless to stand against it. So it does seem like, but then the goat became very great at the height of its power. The large horn was broken off.
Yes.
And in its place, four prominent horns grew up and toward the four winds of heaven.
Yes.
Is it four planes? Is it like...
No, that's the goat. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought you were asking me. Go ahead.
No, just like connect these for me, because you're mentioning there's rage, and then we skip down to verse 17. So like some of the stuff in the middle, though, it gets a little crazy. So yeah, connect these things for me.
Okay, I'll try my best. He has a vision, and the angel on the second half of the story clears it up for him, basically. Tells him what all the symbols were. So it is a little more complicated than your average story, but because it comes in two parts, which you can see. It would be the one that we're in right now is verse 6 and 7. We're attacking them right now, right this moment. Mm-hmm. And verse 8 is what I'm worried about. That comes after this. We win the war, and then verse 8 is next, and that's the goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and 4 came up for it. So basically, our kingdom gets broken up, much like Alexander the Great. We're repeating time in a sense.
I guess.
So it could have applied to Alexander the Great?
Oh, good question.
Well, yes, time to the end, though. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, why do you think that this applied to Alexander the Great?
The scholars throughout the years always said that, but it is time of the end. It says twice, actually, and it makes it very clear. But they said, for years, it's Alexander the Great, and Alexander is much like us. We're the modern Greece, okay? We're from the West, on the Western Hemisphere.
Hang on just a second. Okay. Hang on just a second. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Steve. I just love to try to keep these as focused as possible.
Yes.
So
no problem.
The problem that I have is that I am familiar with this passage. I'm familiar mm-hmm. with this whole scene here in Daniel. But the reason that I'm familiar with it is because when I was growing up, the United States and other countries engaged in various military operations in Iraq.
I watched every bit of it.
And so I was told that this applied to that. So are those people wrong? And if they are, why are you correct?
Well, okay, I watched all the wars. I'm 62, so I saw it from 91 on through 2003. I saw it all. And I wondered about the same thing at the time, okay? But I do keep patient. I just mull things over until I get the answer. And I got the answers now. But, I know what you're saying. It can be like, well, is it Iraq? Did we do the same thing? We did some things similar. The difference is we went over the Atlantic this way. We came from the West. Before we went the other way over the Pacific when we attacked Iraq with the B-2 Spirit. It's got to be the B-2. Go ahead.
Just to be clear, are you saying that the main reason that you believe this passage in Daniel refers to the current situation we're experiencing in the world and not earlier times like in 2004, 2003, whatever, is because we came from a different direction? Do you really believe that is something that is a valuable piece of information for determining the truth of this prophecy?
Alexa, I'm sorry, I said Alexa. I'm sorry. It says Persia, though. Persia we know isn't Iraq. We know that. And media,
but it also says Greece. So, but we're not saying that. So we're saying that we are the kingdom of Greece, but it's saying it's Persia, and we're holding on to Persia and saying that that's literally Persia, but we're not literally Greece. So it kind of feels like this could get really fuzzy.
Described it. It's 2,500 years ago. He didn't say it was America. I mean, he couldn't have said that. It would be, you know that. So
why not, though?
That's how he described it.
Why not, though? But God was inspiring this for
And why
Daniel.
not Kazakhstan? Why not any other country for Persia? We've attacked lots of other countries. But I'm saying that they also would not have had knowledge of that. So if we're saying Greece can be America, then I guess Persia could also be Mongolia. It could be Ethiopia. Right. It could be whatever other place the author didn't know of at the time. No,
okay, I don't think so. But one other thing I'd like to add to you, because it's hiding right in front of you, and I did ask if I could ask this.
Go ahead.
It says text Trump to 88022. He had the sign in front of him the whole time. 88022 stands for Daniel chapter 8. In front of you. This is going on right now, and it's very serious.
Do you think it's possible? It's a really basic question. It's a really basic question. Just a yes or no. Do you think it's possible that you're mistaken, Steve?
100% no, and I would lay anything about.
Okay, hang on. Cool. Then I can just mute you for a second so I can say this, which is I tend to, as a knee-jerk reaction, when somebody tells me they are 100% confident they can't be mistaken, I tend to not believe them, right? Now, that's not a fantastic methodology on my part, but the history of the world has showed me anytime somebody makes that bold of a claim that they absolutely could not be mistaken, I can find a billion freaking examples really quick when they're just wrong. And so I think unless you have something a bit more concrete other than I just kind of feel like this, I'm going to move on to somebody else, because I think we do have some other people that might be able to present some things. But so far, I don't know why I should listen to you more than I should the people that I didn't listen to back in the early 2000s. And also, by the way, didn't listen to any of the people talking about all this stuff through the Crusades and just all the way back through human history. So, yeah, I don't know, Steve. I'm going to bring you back on. I don't have high hopes. I would love if, when I bring you back on, there's going to be a beep. And after that beep, I would love if you could say, look, here is a really solid piece of evidence that shows that that passage in Daniel was connected to today. Okay? That would be just awesome for me. So I'm going to pull you back in. It should beep a little, but what is the most convincing thing, that connects this passage in Daniel to today?
Okay, to today. Seed of Lamb, 88. God's hiding it right in front of you. You know who C.D. Lamb is? It's number 88. Back to the Future, they go at 88, they vanish. There's a lot more to this than you think. Everything's converging.
Are you talking about C.D. Lamb, the football receiver? Are you talking
exactly.
about the guy
I'm just saying,
that
he hides
football?
It's right. Yeah, 88. Yep.
Do you know why his number is 88?
Future?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Do you know why C.D. Lamb's number is 88?
88. What's that?
Do you know why his number is 88?
Yeah, actually, I do. I have it written right here. C.D. Lamb was number 88 to honor the legacy of past cowboy greats like Drew Pearson, Michael Irvin, so on. He wanted number 10, though.
Yeah, but even he admitted it. It has nothing to do with the thing you're claiming it does.
I'm just saying it's hiding in plain sight, and also.
But I'm just saying you're just making that up, Steve, and you know that. You just admitted that you know this. You just admitted right here that you know that that's not true. Come on, man. You're better than this, Steve. I know you are, man.
Okay. One last thing.
Okay.
After the war is done here, we win this thing. Trump does win it. We have number 88. Our great horn will be broken. That is the Washington National Monument. It's going to be taken off. Not one stone will lay upon another that will not be thrown down.
I'm sorry. Even in the passage you're bringing up, that the horn doesn't represent a literal horn. It represents the four nations that become. So like, we're really playing fast and loose with the literal and the figurative. And you know what? I've been sitting here. I think that this is actually referring to Queen Elizabeth I's breaking of the Spanish Armada.
That makes so much more sense.
Because it applies really well. Because then the United Kingdom or the British Empire ended up breaking up after it reigned from that. So I actually think it's that.
Yeah, and there's good in verse 11 too, by the way. I'm sure you know this, Steve. It says, it set itself up to be as great as the commander of the army of the Lord. It took away the daily sacrifice from the Lord, and his sanctuary was thrown down. Now, that relates perfectly to everything Sophia just said with Queen Elizabeth. I mean, how can you disagree with that?
It's the rise of the Antichrist. It comes after 88. Our nation gets broken, and then all hell breaks loose in this world.
Hang on, Steve. I appreciate you, because I had a fun time with that. I don't feel like we made much progress, which is why I got you muted right now, and I'm just going to let you go. But here's good news. I love something tangible. It sounded to me like you said the Washington Monument is going to frickin' topple. That is a testable future prediction, baby. That is brand new. And you know what, Steve? I look forward to your call at the end of 2026 when either it has or has not happened. Until then, though, see if you can find some more good reasons to connect biblical prophecy. I am not convinced by that, guys. I don't know about you.
I am not either. I came up with a bunch of different examples too. I was like, honestly, this could refer to any colonial power. Like it was sort of fun to just be like, what could this be?
Right.
Or maybe it actually has to do with On the Hills when there's like that drama between the two main leads on the Hills, and it's just like, reality TV in the mid-aughts was crazy. So there's a lot of like breaking up into different, casts and groups. It just
actually, oh my God, we should see if we could connect biblical prophecies to different reality TV shows and stuff. That would actually be
Oh, I
really,
could do
really
that in a
funny.
heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that's what I should do for the 24-hour fundraiser.
That would be
In fact,
that would
I
be
think
great.
I've decided
That would be
that's
great.
what I'm gonna do.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
If you're cool with it, Sophia, I am going to talk to Dr. Darrel Ray about this awesome new thing
Yes.
he's got going, and you can start working on that in the background, and we'll pull you on when we need some more help with calls. You
Sounds
are awesome.
perfect.
You are freaking
Bye.
awesome. Thank you so much. And I am thrilled because I am here with the legend himself, Dr. Darrel Ray. Hey, man, what is up?
Well, what is up is you're trying to usurp my position in the universe. I am the high priest of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and you have tried to usurp my place. So I'm warning you, no beer in Spaghetti Monster heaven if you're not careful here.
I repent. I repent. I forgot how close you were to his noodly appendage. Yes.
Okay,
Cheese be upon you.
All right, good. Well, I do want to add something for Sophia. I don't know if and the caller, because it's an interesting book. It's called When Prophecy Fails.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written way back in like 1956. But it's a documentation of how a cult got started and the prophecies that came from that cult and what happened when the prophecies didn't come through. The cult continued. It still exists today despite multiple prophecies failing time after time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a real interesting book because it looks at the social psychology of the kinds of things that the caller was talking about. He was 100% certain, wasn't he? And yet, so were the people in the book that I'm mentioning.
Right. And we've got, and there's just so many different examples of that. And we see, I even remember right around the time I was graduating from high school, there was this big billboard campaign in my area where this preacher had predicted the end of the world like 2 days before graduation or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole big joke going around the school was like, well, we really don't have to finish our classes because, we're all going to die anyway. The world's going to end. It didn't happen, though. It didn't happen.
Was that the 2012 Rapture Day?
Yep.
Yeah, we had an entire conference around. It's called Rapture Day Conference. A whole conference built around that one thing. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
In Wichita, Kansas, that's where the conference was.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of a book, you had mentioned that great book When Prophecy Fails. I had heard you had written something with a couple of other really cool authors that got picked up by like Harvard or something. What was that, man? What's going on?
Well, my colleague David Teachout and I wrote a chapter for a book that's going to come out next month from Oxford University Press.
That's
Oxford.
Right. In
right.
Oxford. That's awesome,
Right.
man. That's awesome. And then did I hear right that Harvard caught wind of it and you're doing a talk there?
So there's a symposium on religious trauma that I'll be speaking. I'm invited to speak at, and that'll happen a week from Friday. This Friday, almost
Friday.
2 weeks from now.
That's so.
And it's a
cool.
free conference. If you're in the Boston area, you can come and listen to the talk. But I'll be talking on religious trauma and your brain.
That is amazing. And
here's the cool thing. It's at Harvard Divinity School.
No way. No freaking way. Harvard Divinity School is going to let you talk on religious trauma. Oh my God.
Right. And David's doing a second talk. So between the two of us, we'll have 2 talks there.
That is freaking awesome. I was lucky enough to get to meet David last year, and absolutely wonderful dude. And I'm so bummed I don't live. This may be the one time I can say this. I am super bummed that I don't live a little bit over the Mason-Dixon line. So I'm a Southern boy for sure, but I want people to hear about this really, really awesome thing that you have just recently created, which for anybody who's not aware of Dr. Darrel Ray's insane history in this space, he is the founder of both Recovering from Religion and the Secular Therapy Project, 2 massively influential organizations in the secular space, have been able to help so many people. I think you said 30,000 clients?
Well, 38,000 clients in the Secular Therapy Project.
1,000.
Yeah. And 1,097 therapists in the Secular Therapy Project in 11 different countries. And
My gosh.
yeah, it's gotten huge. It's 13 years old now.
That is amazing, man. That is
Yep.
really, really freaking cool. And everybody that has been watching this show for a while knows how much we love both of those places and how often we shout them out. But for some reason, Darrel, you apparently didn't have enough to do. Must be the case. You were just sitting on your hands bored one day, and you got this really cool idea that the first class, the first cohort has actually just finished, and I was actually lucky enough to be a part of it. Would you mind just telling everybody a little bit about the Secular Leadership Institute?
Sure. So I've been watching, my career was in leadership. So I was training leaders for almost 40 years in my career. But I get into the secular world in the late 2000s, and I see, poor leadership everywhere. And I'm not saying bad people. It's not bad people. It's just people who don't know how to lead. And so it causes lots of problems, lots of conflicts, that sort of stuff. So I got the idea a decade ago to bring my skills in leadership development into the secular world, but it's just not coming to fruition because I'd had too much to do with Recovery from Religion and Secular Therapy Project.
Right.
But if you Google church leadership, you will find hundreds of training courses to train churches and church leaders.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google secular leadership, you will find nothing. And that inspired me to start the Institute for Secular Leadership. I've been working on this for 2 years. And we just launched it in February, and you were fortunate enough to be in the very first class. You are among the first of the acolytes.
That's right. That's right. We threw our hats and everything.
Yeah, you really did. It was a good. We had a great time, but it's a course designed to teach people how to lead in the secular world, because you don't lead seculars like you lead people in church.
Yeah.
And I see too many leaders using church techniques, guilt and shame and, not being able to deal with conflict appropriately. There's a lot of things that secular leaders need to learn how to do that church leaders don't do, or they do it very poorly.
Yeah. Let me kind of pick your brain on that a little bit. Why is this so important? I mean, I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like we've got American Atheists. I mean, they're a big organization. They're good. We've got, Sunday's assemblies, going around still. We've got this Recovering from Religion. I mean, Humanist Association. I don't know, man. I feel like we've got, why do we need to train secular leaders?
Well, I look at leadership kind of like driving a car. When you first learn how to drive a car, you are really carefully driving. You don't know where to put your foot on the brake or on the accelerator. You're concentrating totally. And without any training, and you get into the car, that's the way you're going to drive the car. You're probably going to wreck the car too if you're not careful. Well, that's kind of the way we are with leaders right now. We have not trained a single leader. Nobody gets trained. Churches are training people all the time. The Baptists have got a huge training program. The Mormons got a huge training program. Well, if they think it's important to train people in churches, it's got to be just as important to train people to be secular leaders. And as a result of not having training, you see groups having conflict, not knowing how to deal with conflict, splitting over conflict, groups starting and 2 years later dying. You see founder leaders who can't delegate, who won't train other people to do what they want, who hold on to power without sharing power. There's just a lot of mistakes I'm seeing being made by good people that are very smart people, but they haven't been trained. You wouldn't put your 12-year-old kid in a car and say, I hope you make it alive. Go give me some groceries. And that's kind of what we're doing. Whoever steps up to lead the local humanist group, the local atheist group, that's who gets it. But what qualifications do they have? What training do they have? And we are ready to do that. We started this course. We're now in our third cohort, as you know, and it's halfway sold out. Our second intermediate course is sold out now. We can't accept any more people. So we're glad to see people are starting to get the word and sign up for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys can definitely find that out there all over some places. I saw it on Facebook the other day. Very, very easy to get a part of it and to join in. There are some really, really important things that I have learned already. Some things that I saw myself doing incorrectly. And again, it's not from anything other than just a lack of knowledge on it. We, like you said, we don't have these pipelines. We have not had these kind of these courses or these pathways for our people at all,
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to be in an area that has a group already, more often than not, it's kind of like, hey, who's in charge here? And when you find out that person, they tend to be like, yeah, nobody else wanted to do it, So, and we wonder why our causes stagnate. We wonder why it's so difficult for us to get anything, to happen in this space. But I am thrilled by this, man. I think this is really awesome. And if you could give somebody out there, just one little nugget of something they might get, some little bit of the secret sauce behind the scenes thing to whet their appetite so that they'll sign up for this. What would you say to them? What's something super important for secular leaders?
Well, I think it's not just secular leaders, but secular board members, because there's far more people on secular boards than there are leaders, so to speak. So I think we have a simple thing we do in one of the courses is 5 key things board members should know and do. And that would be, and I don't have time to go through them right now, of course.
Right.
But number one thing is you are responsible morally and fiscally and financially for the way the organization operates. And so you should be using best practices. So the bottom line is in our leadership training, we're teaching best practices. And groups that follow best practices tend to grow because the people that belong to it see how you function and appreciate the way you're using donor money or the time of the volunteers. So it's an important component to develop the trust between board members, and trust between leaders and board members is absolutely critical if you want to grow. And what I see is so many groups been around for 10 or 20 years and they haven't grown at all. They've still got 30, 40 people on the register and only 10 people show up to the meetings. Well, I think you could change that if you learn how to lead. And it's not because you're not good people, not because you're not intelligent, because you haven't been trained in best practices.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question a little bit?
I think so. I think you did a great job answering that question. And there are tons of awesome ways that you can help out folks. It is a 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible, just like when you give money here to the wonderful folks at the Atheist Community of Austin, which I see we have already a $1.99 super chat coming in from Jonathan France. I wonder if we can get that up on here real quick. It says, cubes upon you, cubes upon your house and your cow. And yes, cubes upon every single one of you out there as well. That's a little bit we have going here, and instead of peace and stuff. But anyway, I have the perfect call, I think, to talk a little bit more about this. We have an atheist, Sean, he, him pronouns, out in Kansas, wants to talk to us today about something about humanism, or I'm not sure here. We'll get him to explain. But hey, Sean, you are on the Atheist Experience with Secular Rarity and Dr. Darrel Ray. What is up?
Wow, nice to be with you guys. Thanks so much.
Hey, how are you?
Good to have you, Sean.
Right on. It's so good to see you both. And I was enjoying that previous caller listening to the fulfillment of prophecy. And I'm like, man, that brings, back to when I was a theist before I became an atheist. So now I am a humanist, and I'm also a graduate with Secular Rarity and Dr. Ray's course in the Institute for Secular Leadership. And I've really learned a lot, thanks to everybody there.
Nice. Awesome, man. Yeah. What was one of the things that you got out of it that you really valued?
Oh wow! Just one thing. There was so much. I have to. The fact that being with 10 other individuals who are learning and who bring their own, experience with them, but listening to the leaders of the course in helping to, reframe some things to help us consider things we hadn't considered. And me never having been a leader or trained as a leader, this was critical for me. I felt like I had to get into this course. And I'll tell you, I've learned so much. I'm glad to see some things I've been doing well, but I've only learned how to do them better. I love that. So I don't know, how to be an idea generator. That's really cool. I learned a lot from that thread. Horizontal accountability has nothing to do with being in bed. So, one of the more recent ones we heard before graduating was whose chicken is this? Or whose monkey rather?
Whose monkey? Right.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I said chicken. Maybe was that a Freudian slip? I don't know.
You're making shit up.
Yeah. Right. Now I'm just making shit up. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, getting buy-in for a vision, and that's one thing that I realized I had not really been as focused on as I should be, because the whole reason I, started my organization was to have, the vision that I had and get it out there and start working on that. So anyway, and this course is really helping me to zone in on that, our mission, making sure that our leaders are also invested in that idea and wanting to forward. So yeah, very exciting to be able to promote this course for people who are in the secular community who want to lead. I highly recommend this course.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Thank you, Sean.
It was a lot of fun. We got to bounce ideas off of each other a bunch, and one of the things I think is so cool is, I didn't even know, I probably could have guessed, right? But I didn't even know there was a humanist group out in Topeka, Kansas, and just taking this course has allowed me to get that connection at least, and I think that is one thing, again, that we've been missing for so long in this space, is that cross-pollination and that interconnectedness of the communities. We see this on the right with the Christian nationalists. We see this in so many of these other groups, and unfortunately, we just don't have a counterexample yet. So I'm thrilled that we have this.
Oh yeah.
Well, one of the key things that we're all trying to do is to create a network of leaders, so that for that very thing you're talking about. And our goal.
That.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I should not have interrupted. My apologies.
No, go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking to that about having a network. I recently had a challenge that came up about childcare. And one of our board of directors had mentioned a series of concerns about, that, especially how churches have been known to do it, with free childcare, and it's always the women taking care of the children. And so it kind of reinforces the patriarchy in that sense, and unpaid labor, among other issues, gender stereotyping, and that kind of reinforcement. So I presented the concern to the group, the cohort, and got some really fabulous responses. And I'm like, this is so wonderful that we actually have a network, and it's only going to grow. And so we'll be able to get some excellent feedback from folks who are experiencing something similar, might be able to, lend some ideas to help the challenges that we're faced with. By the way, that was in a leadership challenges thread that was specifically set up for that. And so I'm like, yeah, right on. This is really cool.
Good.
Nice. Yeah. What were you thinking, Darrell? You had the
Well, I was going to say our goal is to train 1,000 leaders over the next 10 years.
wow.
1,000 leaders the next 10 years. Think if we had 1,000 leaders all gone through the same training with the same approach and methodology and language, they can start talking to each other, and we can grow in new ways we've never done before. We can horizontally grow.
Yeah.
In connecting and developing each other, and that's what Sean's talking about.
Yeah,
and they can go to secularleadership.org is the website you can go to see more about the course.
Make it easy for them. That's the way to do it. Yeah, yeah, I love it. Well, Sean, do you have any closing thoughts for us or reflections on the course?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think the breadth of what we learned just in the introductory course alone, before even going into the intermediate course, was, eye-opening and directly helpful. After every class, we had some homework to do and application of that in our own group, and we could also, bounce some feedback. So knowing that, I don't have to do this alone anymore and think on my own to, hit or miss, and having, people who've gone before, like actual senseis. That's what sensei means, is like one who's gone before, right? So, it's great to be able to pick, from people who've done this and will have understood the best practices to take those and make this happen. I'm just so excited to know that we're going to have secular leaders that are trained and like Darrell said, speaking the language, and being able to move that forward and work together and network and grow together. So I think it's amazing. And thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to come on here today to share that with you all.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sean. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for calling, Sean.
Yeah, man, we absolutely appreciate it. I'm gonna drop you like a hot potato real quick because there's no real easy or dignified way to do it, man. But thank you so much for calling us today, and I can't wait until we're in another class together again, man. So
likewise, coming right up soon. All right, see you all.
See you, brother. Oh man, I love it. It is very important that we start thinking beyond the systems and the methods that we've used in the past. I think one of the biggest reasons why we haven't seen, when I think about American atheists and let's say the American humanists, they've been around for almost 100 years apiece. They've been around for a really, really long time. And I ask myself, why haven't we had more progress? Why haven't we had even more progress than what we have had, Why do we see backslides and all of this stuff? And I think one of the biggest reasons is we just don't have those things training the next generation of leaders. We just don't have those things that build up the community in the same way that the religious do. I was recently watching the Shiny Happy People documentary, and when you see the conferences that they put on and you see what they're doing, and it's all about this leadership building. How do you take this back into your town and stuff? This is what they've been doing for decades at this point.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. And it just, we have to start, the best time to start was 10 years ago. The next best time is right now,
Right.
So we'll get on to that. But before we do that, there is actually something very cool that my buddy and fellow host here, Jamie the Blind Limey, has to say. Jamie, what is that thing about this coming up in May?
Jamie the Blind Lime here, and I've got some interesting news for you. On Saturday, May 16th at 6 p.m, we'll be hosting our 24-hour We Are Here live stream and fundraiser to highlight secular voices around the world. We've invited dozens of your favorite content creators like Genetically Modified Skeptic, The Antibot, Justin DZ, and more to let the world know that we are here. And we're not going anywhere. If you're here in Austin, come join us at the Free Thought Library at 1507 West Koenig Lane. Well, we'll be kicking things off in style. And if you're online, do join us on the Atheist Experience channel to check out the stream and join in the fun. So join us from wherever you are in the world, and together we can dedicate ourselves to secular humanist values wherever we are.
That is awesome. Yes, thank you so much, Jamie, for the info on the upcoming 24-hour live stream and fundraiser for the ACA, May 16th, starting at 6 p.m. Central Time. You guys don't want to miss it. It was super duper fun last year. I got to participate. I was very excited. They gave me one of the like primo slots, the like 1:30 to like 2:15 in the morning time Central. It was awesome. I was so thrilled to do it. I got to hang out with a couple of different people. I got to hang out with Holy Kool-Aid and Godless Engineer. We had a good time. So definitely, folks, make sure that you put that on your calendars and you come hang out with us. We have some other really good calls here, Darrel. I think we should go out to Colorado and talk with RJ, a theist, he, him pronouns. RJ wants to talk about the 4 winds in the Bible. So I don't know how much you know about this, Darrel, but we are going to give it.
Go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. Well, hey, RJ, you are on the Atheist Experience. What is up?
Yeah, hey. So yeah, well, happy Easter. I know you guys probably don't celebrate it, but
same to you. Happy Easter.
Yeah. Yeah, but so I found it kind of interesting. I don't think this will really change your guys' opinion or anything, but I was looking up the 4 winds, and I know a lot of atheists think that means that Christians and Jews thought the earth was flat. But if you do some research on it, there is 6 major wind systems that we have. I'm guessing you're probably aware of them: the polar easterlies, the trade winds, and then the westerlies. But if you look at it closer, the winds that are blowing on land, where humans inhabit, it's just the 4 winds. So it's the the westerlies and the trade winds. And like even when you go to Norway or Greenland, it usually still follows the pattern of the westerlies above the 30-degree north line. So
yeah. Is this something that convinced you, RJ?
No, it was part of the not entirely, but it definitely is an explanation.
Sure.
To what that means, and like
sure. And you know, I understand the concept of a cumulative case. You know, the reason that I accept that my buddy, you know, got a rabbit as a birthday present, you know, and now has a pet rabbit that he wasn't particularly thrilled about, but he still takes care of it very well and he loves it. But the reason I believe that is because of all of these other different pieces of evidence. You know, I know that bunnies exist. You know, I know he had a birthday recently. You know, I've actually seen the fucking rabbit. There's a lot of stuff, right? But like, if we were to somehow figure out a way, I'm not saying that we can, but like, if the 3 of us here right now could like disprove that, either that, hey, actually, no, there's like 12 winds on the earth, like the physical geography and all that, or we could somehow show that the individual who wrote that portion of the Bible was actually talking about something totally different. Would it really move the needle at all in terms of your belief in God?
on this particular subject, no.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the main winds. I mean, obviously, there's going to be other like wind effects that aren't going to follow that exact path.
But RJ, if we spend 10 minutes talking about these winds, right? At the end of it, no matter how much progress you and I make, you're gonna still believe. And so I'd just rather go to something that's more convincing to you. If you came across that and were even like, that's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of a little bit of extra sprinkles on my ice cream, you know? That's okay, I get that. But I wanna go right to the heart of it, man. What's the real reason that you believe, God's real, or Jesus rose from the dead today a long time ago, or something like that?
I would say I have a lot of multiple reasons, not just one in particular.
For sure. Give me a really, really good one. Give me the one that you really think is super solid.
As far as like Christianity goes, or the proof that there is a God.
Your choice,
or,
man.
Whatever,
whichever one you like.
I've talked to Darrel Ray before on this same show. He probably doesn't remember me. But anyways, my biggest one was demographics, human demographics. That was the biggest one. Well, because if evolution wasn't real, or if evolution was real, we would have trillions and trillions of people living on the planet by now. If you go back 500,000 years, I mean, we would have reproduced way more times than we already have. I realize people think.
What about people just dying?
Yeah, you're correct. That's the excuse, but diseases don't wipe out populations for thousands and thousands of years, and neither does natural disasters, especially if you're spread out really far apart.
Because I don't want to go like too far down the evolution route. I just want to be charitable on both sides here. Like, if we both agree, just for the sake of the argument, that like climate and the earth changes over like thousands of years of time, you don't think it's possible that, say, like the most northern portion of Africa in 1,000 to 2,000 years could go from a lush green environment that could support a lot of life to like a dry, arid, freezing cold desert that couldn't support anything? You don't think that's possible, like, at all?
I do think it's possible, but if humans are spread out across various locations, I don't think that would have an effect on it. Just like large portions of animal populations get wiped out, there's still a bunch of them that survive.
Yeah, but animals do go extinct, right? Animals and plants go extinct.
That's true, but humans are a lot smarter than any animal, where we can adapt and survive a lot better than most animals can. Just because we're smarter than most.
Give me a second here, RJ. I've been kind of dominating. I want to get Dr. Ray in on this as well. What do you think on this, Darrel? Is there something to it?
I'm more curious about what RJ's underlying emotional motivation is for solving this problem. What motivates you to think about this problem?
What problem are you talking about? How humans would? I'm not sure what you're asking. Sorry.
Well, what motivates you to call in? What's the concern, the underlying concern that makes you concerned about this?
About you guys being atheists? Is that why am I?
You called us to talk about four winds and things like that. What is the underlying concern that you've got? That the wind's going to blow the wrong direction? I'm being facetious there, but what caused you to?
Just adding, I would say that's just evidence. I guess in a way, like you were saying earlier, that is sprinkles on top of the evidence that has already been presented, that the Bible is true, and that there's a lot of stuff in there that people wouldn't know that they did know somehow, like the four winds would be something that would be really difficult, especially when you consider that the most southern wind is in.
Well, okay, let me ask this question. You called in to talk about this one. Why didn't you call in to talk about something in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Quran? Is there a reason why those holy books that obviously people think God wrote? Why you believe this?
Yeah, but they have errors in them, like obvious errors and contradictions that I don't think make sense.
Okay, so you studied the Quran and you know how many errors it has?
I haven't read the entire thing, but I know there's 114 surahs. I know the basic things about it, yeah. And it's got contradictions in it that are major, Like I would
Okay.
say the arguments
And
against the Quran are greater than the arguments against the Bible.
greater than. Okay. But so the Bible has contradictions too, correct?
Well, the arguments, I don't personally believe that. I've seen the arguments, I guess the people who refute the arguments, I think their arguments are stronger than the arguments that are made against it. Versus when I hear people trying to defend the Quran against.
So if I was sitting here and you were a Christian and we had a Muslim of equal knowledge to you, and you guys started debating, how would you go about winning that debate?
Well, okay. Well, the Quran has failed prophecies. So the biggest argument against Islam, in my opinion, versus Christianity is Christianity had prophecies that were fulfilled versus the Quran.
Oh, wait, hold on. I've got a lot of Muslim friends and ex-Muslim friends, and they're pretty darn sure all the prophecies in the Quran came true. I'm positive of that. They will die on that hill, so to speak. So I'm just trying to figure out which prophecy should I put the most weight on, yours or theirs?
I would say on Christianity's prophecies.
Okay, had you been born in Saudi Arabia, would you be saying the same thing?
If what?
If you had been born in Saudi Arabia, raised in Islam, would you be saying the same thing you are right now?
I think I would, yes. Just like if I had a math problem and I lived in Saudi Arabia and I looked at a math problem and I was able to solve it, but everyone in Saudi Arabia said that my solution was wrong, but the people in the U.S. said the solution was right, I would say, well, I agree with the people in the U.S. Their solution is correct. The people in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, this isn't math problems. The Muslim math works. In fact, we use Arabic numerals. In case you hadn't learned math, it's Arabic numerals, right? So the Arabs gave us
from India. It came from India.
Ultimately, it started in India, but we call them Arabic numerals because they came to us through the Arab world. But that's not the issue. The issue is, how do I tell? You were raised in Saudi Arabia. The only religion you ever heard of or knew was Islam. Would you still be making the same claims that you are right now?
If I had access to the Bible and I lived in Saudi Arabia and I looked at both the Bible and the Quran and I compared them to the Old Testament prophecies, and the Quran says the Old Testament doesn't, I mean, they kind of contradict and say it's not the correct Old Testament. But if I was looking at both of them side by side and I had access to the Bible, I would think, yeah, I would believe the Bible.
Okay. Now let's go back to Utah. If you'd been raised in Utah as a Mormon and Book of Mormon was your holy book, which prophecies, Joseph Smith's prophecies or your local Baptist church's ministers' prophecies? Who should I believe?
I would, well, I'm not a Baptist, but I'm a Protestant, I guess, but I believe in, I don't really want to label myself as a Baptist. But I would say, I guess in a way I am kind of related to Baptist because I consider myself evangelical and they kind of rose out of the Baptist movement. So I guess in a way I kind of am. But yeah, I would still say that the Baptist is more correct than the Mormon movement, just based on the logical prophecies I'm looking at. I mean,
well, so far you've given us no logic, but that's okay. I can't understand how Mormonism doesn't trump whatever you come to.
The fulfilled prophecies that are claimed by the early followers of Joseph Smith sound way more miraculous to me than a lot of the Bible and stuff. But there, you brought up something a second ago, RJ. I wanna just get some clarification on. You said if I were to compare the New Testament to the Old Testament, if I were to compare the Quran to the Old Testament, why are you doing that? Why are you bringing these books to compare them to supposed prophecies written in the Old Testament? What is it about the Old Testament to use as a guide there?
Yeah, because that's the Old Testament proves the New Testament. The New Testament proves that the Old Testament prophecy.
No, I understand that circle, but what I'm asking about, RJ, is if you've got books that are very, very old, right? And you've got like 7 of them in front of you. You know, Dr. Ray mentioned the Bhagavad Gita. Like, if you've got that and you've got the Old Testament as it's compiled today, but wouldn't have been compiled in that fashion from 2,000 years ago, like, why would you pick out the Old Testament as being the like foundation that we've got to go find all the things that make it work? Does that make sense why I'm asking that?
Yeah, I think I get what you're at, trying to say. Yeah, well, because of Israel was one of the most powerful nations, and it's in the Middle East.
When?
And
yeah, when was that?
At like what time period would you
during
estimate?
the time of King Solomon. And
my understanding, and I sure could be wrong on this, and both of us could go do some research with like Assyriologists and stuff, but my understanding is that the concept of a pre-modern Israel, like an ancient Israel, like 2,000 plus odd years ago Israel, absolutely in no way, shape, or form existed, and all of the archaeological evidence points otherwise. That is my understanding, RJ.
okay.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's the case, right, then that would be a problem for then going back to what you just said about using the Old Testament as the basis, right? Because unless there's another reason why you would do that, unless there's another reason why you would pick that collection.
Well, it prophesies that there's going to be a continuation of the Old Testament.
What does
the old Israelite?
Hang on just a second. I'm sorry. I should have done this earlier on, RJ, but can you give me your best definition for what you mean when you say prophecy? Like if I say I'm going to call my mother at 7 p.m. this Tuesday, is that a prophecy in your eyes?
No.
Awesome. So give me your best understanding when you're talking about these prophecies in the Bible. What do you mean? Is it a dream somebody had? Is it somebody commanding something to do something? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, actually, both of those are examples actually in the Bible of
a dream and a command in your eyes counts as prophecy.
Certain specific ones, yes.
Why?
Well, the commands that God gave to Israel, if you follow all my statutes, I'm going to bless you and I'm going to make you into a great nation. And that happened. But if you turn away from me, then your nation's going to fall. And if you disobey all these statutes,
did that happen?
The nation's going to fall. Yeah, because Israel eventually fell to the Babylonians.
So it kind of sounds like this prophecy fails one way or the other, or is right one way or the other, because it sounds like it says either you succeed and the prophecy is successful, or you fail and the prophecy is successful. That doesn't really cut it for me when it comes to prophecy. Let me give you an example, RJ. My understanding of prophecy tends to be something like, in the year 2027, Dr. Darrel Ray will wear a gray sweater at an atheist conference, and on the back of that sweater will be a sign that says, "Kick me, please." That's like a prophecy, right? If you're commanding somebody to perform actions, that doesn't sound like a prophecy to me, right? It sounds like somebody saying, do this thing, especially if there's threat for punishment for not doing it, right?
Right, but it makes sense though, because they didn't obey God. They started going and worshiping after idols and statues, and that's why they were destroyed. And that there's even historical there's histories proving that happened. You know, there's
so what about the prophecy? What about the prophecy in the Quran that one day, near the end times, that the children of Muhammad, or as we like to call them these days, Muslims, they will build great great tall buildings that will reach the sky, and that will be an indication of the end times. What about that prophecy? Have you seen some of the buildings that they've got in Dubai right now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen them on the news. And
Is that, yeah, me too. I haven't been to Dubai, but I mean, is that not a fulfillment of that prophecy? Does that not show that the Quran is true?
That, like you said earlier, though, that's kind of the one where if I say I'm going to call my mom tomorrow, and then I do it, that's kind of the same thing, because you can always build a building up to the sky. They're not the only ones that did that.
How is it different
the
than the
US
things
does
that you've
that.
presented? How is it different than the things that you've presented, though, RJ? That's what I'm trying to get at. It kind of sounds like in both scenarios, there was like more or less a command, right, that then came with some stipulations. Like if you do this, then these things. If you don't do this, then these things. Right? In both scenarios, it kind of sounds like they're really, really similar. And neither of them sound like what I think all of us actually agree sounds more like a prophecy, which is that silly thing I did about Darrel Ray having a kick me sign on his back in a year. You know, like, I mean, if that happens, if somebody watches this episode of the Atheist Experience and a year from now sees Darrel Ray and me hugging and laughing at some event, and they walk up behind and put a sticker on the back of his sweater there, is that fulfillment of prophecy? Am I somehow now prophetic?
No, I wouldn't say that, because you would probably go and make that happen.
Right.
At a certain point.
Yeah, and that's an interesting component, RJ, because much of the Bible was written in exactly that way. People came back and made the prophecies come true. I do want to say this. I want to suggest this to you. You have one set of rules or logic rules you apply to what you agree with, and you have a very different set of logic and rules to things you don't agree with. So you don't examine the Quran in the same way as you examine the Bible. In fact, you don't examine the Bible, and you claim you did examine the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita, or the Book of Mormon. I haven't heard your criteria for except your opinion and your repeating of whatever some preacher told you about what the Bible says or didn't say. So I would just challenge you to think about, what are your criteria for assessing truth?
Okay, well, I guess I can live with that. I would just say that Christianity fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies. So the reason I believe the Bible over the Quran is the Bible fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies.
Sure, I totally. I think I get that kind of chain. And I that makes sense to me, in the sense that if I were to believe that the New Testament fulfilled, that there were prophecy in the Old Testament and the New Testament absolutely fulfills them, I could absolutely see myself going, heck yeah, man, I believe it. It must be true. It came to fruition. The thing is, though, again, kind of like what Darrel was just saying there, there's more problems before we even get to the statement of, oh man, the New Testament fulfilled prophecy. And there's already problems that we haven't addressed yet. And a couple of those being, well, how do we come to truth, right? And the other one being, well, what exactly counts as a prophecy? I want to leave it right there, RJ, because I thought this was a really good discussion. I did feel like we were both being charitable. We're both giving and getting and learning and all that. And I think that's awesome. And I love giving homework to people. Apologia is this guy on YouTube who does these awesome, little videos and animations and real interesting stuff. And he talks a lot about, biblical archaeology and New Testament scholarship and all this. He actually has laid out a really, really nice and succinct list of criteria that determines whether or not something is prophecy. I use that a lot as my kind of guiding post there. What I would love, because I'm sure, they will let me out of my tomb at least, in a year's time again. And then when I am back on, call in and let's talk about that. You know, maybe he got something in that list wrong. Maybe there's a flaw there, or maybe you look at that list and you go, heck yeah, man, I agree with every single one of them. And here are all the prophecies in the Old Testament that match up to it. So I think that could be a really fun thing for both of us. And I'll go back myself and watch it in the meantime. But I am going to drop you like a hot rock, RJ, and I'm so sorry, but there's just no great way to do that without it just cutting people off a little bit. So I appreciate you, man. And we do have some other really cool calls we're going to grab here in just a second. But I think you're right. I think you're right, Darrel. The foundation is, how do we come to the conclusion that something is or is not true? That is critical. And if we don't have that, we can't really make much more progress. But
I appreciate RJ's honesty, and his honesty revealed some flaws, I think, that he can go back and examine.
Yep.
I think we all should examine the flaws in our own logic. And if you're 100% certain, then you are certainly flawed.
Yeah.
That's my version anyway.
Yep, I love it, man. And we have a couple of great super chats I'm going to read here real quick, and then we've got some awesome calls I'm going to grab. We have 199 pounds from Mr. Foghorn66. I don't see a message, and so I'm just going to say thank you so much, Mr. Foghorn, and give you a little ooh, ooh. Was that a foghorn? That was close to a foghorn, right?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah, okay. Then, oh no, wait, no, there is a message. I see it here. It's underneath it. That's my fault entirely. It says, "Love Darrel Ray, John Ireland, banger humanist in I."
Oh yes. I just met John on my speaking tour in Bangor.
That's awesome.
Hey, John, good to see you.
Great, man. Thanks for tuning in, John. That is awesome. And
I did a speaking tour of Ireland and the United Kingdom, and that's where I met John, just in October. It was a fun tour to do.
That's awesome. That is so freaking cool. And look at that, John. You got me to make a foghorn sound on one of the live shows. That is like bonus for you. We also just got one in for $99 from Clash2347. Been a member for 1 year. Wants to say that hexagons are superior and stay rock hard for Doug. Yes. Yes, indeed. I think we should grab another call because we got some cool ones. I want to go to Hara, she, they pronouns, is an atheist calling from the U.S. and wants some advice on how to deal with religious in-laws in Easter. So, Darrel, I think you have a little bit of experience with this type of stuff, just a few decades or so. So this is definitely going to be your call, man. But hey, Hara, you are on the Atheist Experience with Secular Rarity and Dr. Darrel Ray.
Hi, glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much. So give us a little bit of an understanding of kind of the situation you're dealing with, and I will let the wonderful doctor take over. I will go ahead and make the disclaimer that none of this is therapy, none of this is actual advice or anything. Go get, just for, we're keeping all of ourselves safe here legally. But yeah, give us an understanding. What are you dealing with, Hara?
So I deconverted about 2 years ago, and I'm still married with my husband, who is sort of agnostic, still almost like a cultural Christian, goes to church for the community of it. But his parents have been increasingly passive-aggressive toward him about my actions, and especially today, apparently it happened that they approached him about needing to be the man of the house, about me not attending Easter celebrations today with them, even though I was working today. So it's not a great relationship, but I'm wondering if there's anything I can do to further support him, or if I need to take over and start to confront this conversation with my in-laws directly. And if you have any recommendations.
Yeah, Darrel, please take over.
Well, okay, that's interesting. So your husband, has he brought this issue to you, or did you experience it? Have you been experiencing it personally?
He brought this issue to me. He told me about a really rough conversation he had with his parents.
Okay. And is he asking something of you?
Not right now. More just, it was in a conversation of venting about it really sucks to have my parents do this to me, especially when you're not even here and you're at work. He's incredibly supportive. I just feel for him being under pressure when I'm not even there.
Right, yeah. That it is unfortunate and very emotionally disturbing to have that kind of dynamic in a family. And unfortunately, at Recover from Religion, we hear this every single day. So almost every single hour, what you're talking about. So have you heard of, I'll just recommend real quickly a book. Just as I get ready to recommend it, it flies out of my head. I'll try to remember it later. There's a couple of good books on how to deal with this kind of problem. I'm not drawing it right now. Let me go back to you, though. So what is he asked? He's not asking you to do anything.
Not right now, and I don't think he would. He generally assumes that he needs to deal with his parents because they're his parents, and I'm wondering if I take some sort of action. Since it's about me. Their problems are about me, but they're bugging him about it.
Their problems are about you, but that's what they're saying. But their problems are really with their own son.
True.
So whose responsibility is it to resolve the conflict between the parent and the child?
The wife of the child, because that's kind of how I grew up feeling, and I'm still working on deconstructing that, where I have to fix everybody.
Well, there you go. Good reflection. That's a great reflection. Well, that's one thing we did learn in church, didn't we? That the woman, the wife, should always be responsible for keeping avoiding the conflict or resolving the conflict. So you take on the burden.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the emotional. Yeah.
So let's do a little imaginary. Let's play out a little imaginary scene here. Let's go. I want you to go ahead in your mind and take on all this burden of the problem between your husband and his parents. What's that look like a year from now?
Not good.
Can you be more specific?
I don't know that tempers would remain calm, and I don't know that it wouldn't make us fracture more. And I don't think that I don't know that they have the ability to handle a calm, courteous conversation about their concerns about my belief or disbelief or attendance at religious rituals.
Right.
I don't know that they can handle that without it turning into tempers flaring. And I think that it would fracture us further.
Okay. So you taking on all the burdens really not going to make a big difference, or it might make a difference in the sense that it actually gets worse. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it would get worse.
Okay. I think it's important in relationships to keep the lines of responsibility really crystal clear. And your husband's relationship with his parents is his responsibility, not yours. Now, I'm being pretty firm about that. And there may be exceptions, but I've heard this way too many times, that the wife tries to take on the burden of resolving the problem between the husband and the in-laws. Can't imagine how that's going to work out in your favor.
Is there anything I can do to help him without it turning into me trying to control the whole situation?
Well, okay, you just identified something. You trying to control the situation. Whose responsibility it is to control the situation?
Is.
Okay. So if you take on his responsibility, what's the consequence of that a year from now?
I think he would have a worse a relationship with his parents too, and I don't necessarily want that either.
So you're in charge of managing his relationship with his parents.
Doesn't sound like that's going to work.
No, it's not, and it probably won't work, Hara. And you are deeply concerned for your husband, and that is absolutely reasonable. And you've also, sounds to me like you've done a good job of listening to your husband and empathizing with your husband, and all those things are absolutely perfect. That's what you want. I want in my partner. I want somebody who's going to have my back emotionally, so to speak. But, and there's a big but, isn't it? I also don't want to absolve myself of the responsibility of dealing with the conflicts that are my responsibility and not my very supportive and helpful and concerned partner. You are a very helpful, concerned partner, and that is super admirable. That's why we have partners on this planet. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it does. It helps
Now,
me know that I probably can't do much except keep trying to support him in anything he decides to do.
Yep, right.
But that,
and he's gonna have to make some tough decisions. He's gonna have to go over to his parents' house and sit down with them and say, "Look, Mom and Dad, here's the way I'm living my life, and here's how my wife and I are living our lives, and that is our choice, not yours. We would love to have a great relationship with you, minus the imposition of religious requirements." They may or may not go along with that. They probably won't, but that's your husband's responsibility.
And don't think of it as because there's not much I can add on to what Darrel Ray has already said, Hara. But my little bit here would just be, don't think of it as all I can do is just support him. The thing you are doing is one of the most important freaking things during this time. You supporting him is one of the greatest freaking things you can do. And the fact that you choose to do it all the time, that's awesome, right? Because, let's be honest. We could all go our separate ways. We could all hear about somebody having a tough time and then decide, not my burden, not my problem. Hope it works out, buddy. I'll see you next week. But that's not what you're doing. You're not just supporting him. It's not all you can do. It's the most important fucking thing you can be doing right now, and you're choosing to do it. So that's awesome. That's huge. We all go through those tough times, and 99 out of 100 freaking times when we're through them, the one thing we all go is, man, I really wish I had somebody there to support me. I wish all I had was just a little support. It's the most important thing ever, Hara.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're crushing it. I think you're doing a great job. And I have heard that there is this little organization, been around about 17-ish years, I think, where they have these individuals on phone lines that are ready to go at a moment's notice. You just call in, it's totally free, and they will talk with you about a lot of different things, especially things that have to do with like recovering from religion or religious. I can't remember what the name of that place was. Darrel, do you remember what?
Oh, I know. You're just you're pulling my leg. Recovering from religion, of course.
That's right.
But Hara, I want to underline something. You are doing the right stuff. As Elliot said, you're doing the right stuff. Keep the lines of responsibility crystal clear, and you will actually help your husband better and more than if you went and sat down with his parents or any other option, which is clearly not a good option, by the way. And I love your attitude. It's discouraging to watch. I totally understand that. I'm guessing many of the people listening to us right now have gone through something like this, because families really do put religion. I gave a talk, Hara, I gave a talk sometime back in London about religious trauma. And one of the key things that people face when they're dealing with religious issues is the attachment, parental attachment, or detachment. And what we see in many cases is religious parents are more attached to their religion than they are to their kids. Think about that. I'm more attached to Jesus than I am to my own children. And what your husband's parents are doing is they are making a choice to choose their religion over their child. That is a part of the brain. The attachment part of the brain is what's being affected there. And they have inappropriately been attached to their Jesus as opposed to appropriately attached to their child. Let me stop there. Does that make sense?
That's really true, because I feel like they don't even know who he is. And especially with how much I've seen him grow through and support me through my deconversion, he's amazing. And I don't think that they know that. They see him as a little kid who's naughty and a sinner rather than the amazing person that he is now.
You've hit a great nail on the head there. They see him still as their child, don't they? They don't see him as their adult son. They see him as still as their child. And they're still attached to that child in their own head. And when you try to get in and solve this problem, it will just mix the problem up more by supporting him. And oh, by the way, it sounds like you got a great partner there. Thank your lucky stars. You've got somebody that's going to stand by you. That's wonderful. And because he stood behind you as well. So you guys are really creating a great bond, a great support system for each other. And don't let his parents affect that. They're the ones that are still attached to their Jesus and not to their son.
And Hara, I've asked people in the past whenever they've called in and they've had something like this, because you know how much we love to push back on the religious claims and the Bible and all that stuff. But I think this type of call, this type of story is something that can really build some deep, lasting connections in a community. So, I mean, if you're cool with it, give us a call back in a little bit of time when maybe, you know, you've tried some things or some things have worked, or even if they didn't, you know, let us know and remember that you've got a community here and you've got some people that are rooting for you and stuff. I'm sure if you look at the chat right now on the live stream, wherever you're watching, I'm sure there's a bunch of love being thrown out to you. So thank you so much for calling in today and sharing this. And I hope we get an update. I hope everything gets a little bit better. So
if you need to talk more, do call the helpline, because we're always happy to talk to you.
Recoveringfromreligion.org. It's super easy peasy, and they're there to listen and to talk. And any time zone, by the way, like they're, I think, like covering 23 out of 24 time zones. And some of those time zones is like mostly ocean, you guys. So think about that. But thank you so much, Hara. I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna grab some of our other calls. Hopefully I don't drop you too fast, but I probably did. So I'm very sorry. But man, I love that. I think that stuff is so important. We are all dealing with so much baggage, and you know, our nervous systems are just on high alert constantly, you know. So there is a lot for each of us to kind of work through, and it can be really difficult, especially when you see people that you care about being hurt over and over by family members or close friends or, you know, colleagues at work. I have a buddy got fired because he came out as atheist. You know, I have friends that have lost, you know, all of their connections. Right? We all have, unfortunately. So. But that's what we're here for, folks. We are here as a community. We want to be there for you. And there are a lot of other really phenomenal places out there that the ACA has worked with for a really long time. And there are just some beautiful, beautiful connections there. And in fact, speaking of beautifulness, there is a group of people that volunteer their time regularly to make this show happen. And that is our incredible, wonderful crew. Could we get that crew cam up and see all those incredible? Look at this. We got a full freaking house tonight. That is a bunch of awesome freaking people, you guys. We got video operators, audio operators, note takers, call screeners, chat moderators, people that help keep the lights on at the building, people that read your emails and respond, people that plan huge, awesome 24-hour live stream fundraiser events on May 16th at 6 p.m. Central Time starting, hint, hint. And if you want to be one of those awesome people, guess what? You can do it. You can be a guest on one of our shows. You could even eventually become a host. Or if you just really, really love note-taking and call screening and all these other wonderful things that are super important, we are always looking for people here that would like to be a part of the production. So very easy. Just email volunteer@atheist-community.org. And some wonderful volunteer will get back to you. And then after a little while, maybe you could be the one responding to all the brand new volunteers, and you get to say to them things like, I remember the first time I was ever in Discord with Greg, and he yelled at me because I did a bad job call screening. And I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm just saying some of the four-letter words he used were a little bit much. Anywho, though, we have some other things to talk. Don't let him see you cry. Don't let him see you cry. Don't let him see you cry. Okay, we're gonna go out to Washington real quick. We've got an atheist on the line. Big Ern, he, him pronouns, wants to ask about if Jesus died for our sins, why are women still suffering the burden of original sin? Why? I like that one, Big Ern. I think we all have some thoughts on that. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, SR? It's good to see you. See you and hear you again. And
yeah.
Dr. Ray, I haven't seen you before, but it's nice to see you. And I got some thoughts on leadership myself there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Awesome. Well, I'll give my quick. I know this is a little tongue in cheek, right? But I'll give my quick. Okay. The reason why women are still suffering the burden of original sin is because God was actually lying from the beginning, like we know in the story of Genesis. He said, once you eat from the tree, you will die that day. That doesn't happen. And God was continuing to lie when in reality, God purposefully wanted to make the world so that women suffer. I just feel like that is a much more logical answer. Darrel, what do you think, man?
Well, of course, I'm the high priest of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster,
Right.
so I don't believe in sin, at least not in the way that the Christians believe in it. I'm kind of pissed because I think it's reverse. I think men are the ones that are suffering from original sin, if there was one, because women can have multiple orgasms, and we seem to only have like one or two. So
Very cool.
that's
Study
that's,
tantric.
that's
Study the tantric.
This is great. Darrel, I don't think either of us will be asked back on this show for a while at this point, but we will continue. We will power through this one because they can't just shut us off yet. Give us some thoughts, Bigger. You said you had some thoughts on secular leadership.
Yeah. My thought. Well, first off, let's go back to the original sin portion.
Yeah.
I was raised by a drill sergeant father. He was a drill sergeant in the U.S. Army. I was an Army brat. I lived all over the world. As Twain said at one point after he was a bigot, he said, the best enemy of bigotry and racism is travel. But anyway, I was raised by a drill sergeant who regularly drilled my ass with a belt. And my thought on that is, if my dad continually said, I forgive you once a month while drilling my ass with a belt, I'd be like, why?
That'd be
Or,
fucked up.
every night after 9 months of carrying this big ass beer belly around, he's still like kicking me in the ass saying, I forgive you. That's pretty fucked up in my opinion.
Yeah. And this might be crazy, you guys, but I just had this thought. But it is possible that the Abrahamic religions are really misogynistic. I'm not sure Honestly, I might
No.
need to do a little more research, but it's starting to lean that way in my eyes.
No, I think they lift women up. You know,
That's
throw
it.
them back
That's
down.
it. That's
But,
right. We didn't
yeah.
have. That's right. We didn't have equal rights and equal pay until the Bible came along. Oh wait, we still don't have equal rights and equal pay. But yeah, what were your thoughts, Big Ern, on leadership and stuff?
So on that goes down to each one of us individually as parents. As I was lucky enough to be able to take my son and walk him to school every morning through most of his elementary days. And every morning we had a saying as we walked to school. What are we going to be today? A leader. How do we be a leader? By showing respect. How do we show respect? By being kind and nice and following the rules. You know, I mean, these little things, these little lessons, and we repeat them every day, but they sink in. There's nothing secular, or there's nothing religious about that. There's nothing religious about setting an example. The number one thing about being a leader is setting the example and having good results come because of that example. That example is what being a leader is. People see that and want to follow that. I remember at one point I had a boss in my early 20s who said, I command respect. And I thought to myself, he said, I demand respect. And I thought to myself, nobody demands respect. You command respect by the example that you set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Darrel, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you may have already taken the class, because isn't that what we talk about?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
This is my first exposure to you, Dr. Darrel. So, you know, I think that's just more so coming from my dad. Even though my dad did beat the shit out of me and he taught me a lot of things not to do, he did teach me a lot of things to do and how to be, you know, how to set that example and how to have integrity and walk the walk.
Yeah.
And then also support those who walk the walk.
The leader, I do not endorse your dad's approach to childhood discipline, but besides that, I'll just
never do it myself.
I'll just say that I've studied leadership my entire career. My entire career was built on leadership development, and I've studied a lot of military leaders, and it's pretty clear what you see in some of the best military leaders is they led from the front, not from the back. You know, and in the North Africa campaign in World War II, the generals that got fired were the ones that tried to run the show from the back, and the ones that got out there.
Patton was also trying to run it from the front at the same time. He just had some really bad views.
Well, he did, but I'm just saying, leading from the front is, of course, it's dangerous, and in the Army, it's even more dangerous. But you're not in danger of your life when you're leading a secular group in Topeka, Kansas, like we heard from Sean. And so there's no danger. The danger is your own perceived weakness. And if you just realize, okay, I'm out here, I'm going to put my example out here, you're much more likely to get followers than you are trying to tell people what to do.
Exactly.
Show people.
Exactly. Let your enemies set the example for others not to follow.
Yeah.
If you look back to history, you were bringing up World War II, but if you look back to history, going back to Alexander the Great, yes, he had those early victories against the Persians, but by the time he got to Babylon, they were opening the door for him. They were excited to be liberated from the Persians. By the time he got into Egypt, they were excited to be liberated from the Persians. Finally, somebody who's setting the example, somebody's, you know, winning those battles that we can't fight anymore, and we're willing to join that. So,
yeah,
you know,
there's also
in that way too.
I will just to add on to that, because I'm a big fan of history myself. The actual story of the Persian king Xerxes is a lot more like the things you're talking about than the way it's been presented. Unfortunately, Herodotus really skewed our view of that. But the King Xerxes was insanely cool in a lot of ways, in a time and place where everybody else was doing it, you know, completely different. And there's a reason why throughout human history, there are just a handful of people that we really refer to as really great leaders. And we even give them the title, The Great, right? A couple of them actually, funny enough, come from Russia. How interesting is that?
Alexander didn't earn his, but he was also 150 years after Xerxes came and liberated much of Greece from the tribalisms and the tribal wars.
Right. It's super interesting, and I agree. We find out that the narrative that we've been told a lot of times, like for instance with the Cuban Missile Crisis and JFK, the story that we're told on that is one where standing up and telling other people what to do and pushing people around, that's what makes the day. That's what great leaders do. But in reality, what JFK was actually doing, what JFK was actually doing was negotiating regularly through his brother Robert, and they were talking. They were having lots and lots of compromises and concessions. And you know what? That's the story we needed told, because that's what a real leader does: leading by example, leading from the front.
Exactly. Thank you very much, SR. It's great to see you again. Dr. Darrel Ray, I'm going to look into your content, and thank you for having me on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Big Ern. And there is a lot of really good stuff out there that you can find with Dr. Darrel Ray on it. So you will have a bunch of homework, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy every minute of it, man. Thanks so much. I'm gonna drop you real quick. And you know what? No wrap up, no preamble. We're just going right into it. We're gonna grab Michelle in New York. She, her pronouns, is an agnostic and wants some advice on completely letting go of God. Again, Darrel, I think this is your wheelhouse, brother. So, hey, Michelle, you are on the Atheist Experience with Secular Rarity and Darrel Ray. What is up?
Hello. What is up? There's a lot of things. And first, I'd like to thank my Cordelius and convivial call screener for their wonderful help on the phone and getting me ready and preparing me for the call queue area. They were most gracious and wonderful. So big thanks and shout out to them, even though I didn't get their name.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we do have a bunch of wonderful volunteers here. So yeah, give us help us out. Set the scene for us a little bit and tell us kind of what maybe is still keeping you.
Secular Rarity, you did mention, and I just for sake of the show, you did mention that people can work for the show as call screeners and whatnot. Can they do that remotely?
Yeah, I did for years. I worked behind the scenes for a bunch of different shows here at the ACA, and I have always been in Tennessee. So absolutely, just email volunteer@atheist-community.org, and someone will reach out to you and start working with you. Yeah, most of the people you see in the crew cam are spread out. Some in different states, some in different countries.
Wow, you guys get around.
We do.
Great. So, Dr. Darrel Ray, Secular Rarity, I'm switching off you, and I'm going to
That's fair.
Dr. Darrel Ray, but I'd like to, because you inspired me during the last couple of calls, and I got some gold nuggets to share. I got some gold bullion to share with you guys.
Heck yeah, I love it.
Some in the psyche department.
Okay, go for it.
Ray, you are the doctor, are you not? The doctor. Right now, you're the doctor, because you're the only doctor I'm talking to, so you got to be the doctor, right?
Well, for now, I guess that's true.
And I'd say your doctorate, since I've seen you on multiple occasions, I'd say your doctorate must mean a little bit of everything, because you know a little bit about everything.
Well, I'm 75 years old. I've had a little time to study, so that's probably part of it. But tell us about what your concern is. Tell us about your concern with respect to letting go of God.
I started my deconstruction process a long time ago, and I got started in the fundamentalist Christian charismatic, Pentecostal, Baptist, my former spiritual mentor, who broke my heart personally in several different ways, because he turned out he became not a nice gentleman in his middle and later years, let's say. Really just kind of got me down this deconstruction path. And I said, God, I was just talking to God, and I said, you put me in his life, and he said he was going to bring me up in his church, in his department, and I would follow after him, and that didn't happen. Was that you or him? Did I miss it? I thought I heard from you. So then I'm thinking, and I'm get to reading about this stuff, and how some people believe, like Carl Jung and Freud, believe that God was just an archetypical thing in your psyche, and that when you were hearing from God, you were simply hearing from a part of your own psyche and your own awareness and your own cognitions and consciousness, if you will. And I'm sure you know that very well, all about that, Dr. Ray. And even now on the phone, listening to you guys speak, I'm I had this love affair with a beautiful woman, and I don't mean she was married. It was just a big love to do, an affair, a fair. And I carried the torch and the candle for her for about 20 years. And it was just eating me alive inside. And I said, I have to do something about this. Otherwise, I won't have any successful relationships. And I said, I choose out loud. I said, I choose not to love her anymore. I choose not to love her anymore. And then I called her out by name. And then immediately I felt that wave of ease come over me. And I was like, I don't love her anymore.
Good.
And then
let me, I know we got short on time, so I don't want to short you. I want to understand, but also want to make sure we keep going here. Are you making the parallel with letting go of God, the same as letting go of this woman?
Yes. You got
okay.
Right in that, Dr. Ray.
Okay.
I automatically knew you would.
So you are saying, I was able to let go of this woman, but I can't seem to let go of God. Is that what you're saying?
Well, during the conversation that you two were having with the gentleman and the young lady with her husband, and they're letting their deconstruction, I was thinking maybe and it never dawned on me. And I said, maybe I need to do the same thing with God. Maybe that.
There you go. So let me throw out some ideas here, because I'm really interested. I'm one of my biggest interests is how religion impacts our brain. And I mentioned in that previous call, which may have been what motivated you a little bit, is that our attachment systems are activated, and our attachment systems are activated to attach to children and to our partners, our spouses and such. And that is an appropriate use of the attachment system. As humans, attachment's really, really important to us. As we thrive with attachment, we don't thrive without it nearly as much. So but the problem is with religion gets our brains to attach to our invisible friend, God in this case. And once you're attached to that, detaching is painful and it's difficult. Just like you found with the woman, you were attached to that woman, but detaching caused pain. And it took you a long time.
Oh God! You don't even know, Dr. Ray. You don't even know. Oh God!
I've worked.
Ray, only I can tell you. Only I can tell you how much I loved her, God, and I still love her. And I'll tell you why. I tell you why, Dr. Ray. I felt her tears. I felt her slow, dripping tears fall on my bare chest, Dr. Ray. Each one of those tears, I can still feel them now, like nails in my chest, like mortal blades in my chest, Dr. Ray, and the wounds won't heal.
that's the wound of attachment, and I totally feel you. I understand, and I'm sorry to see you still suffering, because it's not easy to detach from a living human being.
I'm so glad you're married, Dr. Ray, and have a happy marriage. I really am. I mean, and I needed that thought just now. I'm like, well, Dr. Ray has a happy marriage. Maybe one day I could get into one. If only I could get over this fraud.
Sometimes it's really difficult, and I will.
So, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's difficult to detach. It's very easy to attach. Our brains and our bodies are made to attach. We've got a great attachment system going on, but our brains and bodies are not designed to detach, and that's what I hear you suffering with: is how do I detach from this memory? Because you're no longer involved with this person, but yet the memory still is attached, if you will. In some ways, let me throw this suggestion out here: you're not involved with this woman anymore. Am I correct?
No, I mean, I talked to her handful of times over the years. Yeah.
Okay, so think about this: she is an invisible being, just like God is an invisible being. Yet you're still attached to the invisible being that you no longer have a physical relationship with.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You are carrying the invisible being of this woman, and you're carrying the invisible being of God, and both you feel the attachment for and cannot and are having difficulty. I would say this: call or go to the seculartherapyproject.org and find a good therapist. We've got therapists. Did I hear you're from New York? Yeah, we probably got 60 or 70 therapists in New York. In New York City and in the state.
I can't afford. But Dr. Ray, I can't afford that kind of therapy. I've already looked into it.
Okay, how much can you afford to suffer? How many more years do you want to suffer?
Well, that'd be a sad question to answer, Dr. Ray, because I'm afraid you might already know. What with you guessing I'd be a writer and a poet and an artist by now. I need my suffering for my art. Can't do art without me suffering.
When people say they can't afford to get help, that's fine. It's your pocketbook. But do remember, you've already suffered for years over this. What is suffering worth?
Right. I don't know, Dr. Ray, and that's the other side of the coin. But here's the thing. I think I can help a lot of people. I think I can help a lot of people with saying this one thing that I reverberated back into my consciousness when I said, why can't I do the same thing with God? If I could do it with her, and even now when I do it with her, because I have to make sometimes even a daily practice of it sometimes, especially now that May is coming up in spring, because it was a spring May love. So, and I said, I choose not to believe in God anymore. And I'm like, I could do that. I choose not to believe in God anymore. And I was like, I could do that. And I choose not to believe in you, God, anymore. I choose not to believe in you anymore. And then I heard a small voice inside me say, I choose not to believe in me or myself anymore. And then it just ultimately leaves me at the thought that the archetype inside my head, I am God. God is dead. Therefore, God is dead, or he never existed to begin with. Who knows? That's why I'm an agnostic.
Yeah. I'll say one thing here to wrap up this call, Michelle, that I definitely didn't come up with this thought, and I remember when I was going through a deconstruction phase many years ago, and I heard somebody say this, probably on the Atheist Experience, to be honest. But there's these moments in our lives, especially when we're religious, where we tell ourselves, "I can't do it. I'm not capable. If only God were here. If only Jesus would lift this burden off of me, or this religious mindset would help calm me down." And then, funny enough, we find that we can do the thing, right? We are able to get through whatever the difficult time is. And at that moment, when our minds are still so locked in this religion, we tell ourselves, there's no way we could have done it had it not been for the beauty and majesty and power of God or his son, Jesus Christ. But one of the coolest fucking things I realized after stepping away from religion, it was always me. It's always been you, Michelle. That stuff has never been there, and you're the reason that you have made it through every hardship in your life, and you're gonna be the reason that you make it through the next one. No God, no supernatural, no aliens, no none of that shit. It's you. And that is freaking power. And I will absolutely echo Dr. Darrel Ray in saying, you know, if you can, please reach out to the Secular Therapy Project, Recovering from Religion. It's free to call in to the helpline there, and they have some trained people. They're not therapists. It's not the same as secular therapy. So definitely Secular Therapy Project is going to be super helpful for those deeper and longer term things. But remember, Michelle, and I know I've talked with you before, and I know you've called in a bunch, and just remember, this is your community, just like Hara, and we want to hear some updates. We want to know how things are going, and you've got a bunch of love coming for you in the chat. And again, remember, you too could be a volunteer if you wanted. That's how I started, just some idiot in the chat, and I reached out, and they said, well, I guess you'll work, and here we are. So. But thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so sorry that I'm going to have to drop you real quick, but I really, really do appreciate you calling in, and I hope we get some updates soon. So that is always an awesome opportunity for us to just connect with our people and just share in some of those difficult times. You know, that's what a community's for. It's not just for the good times and the parties. It's for when our house falls down or when we're having, you know, some difficult weeks. So
raw men
indeed. Yes, on this holiest of days. Let me read a couple of these awesome super chats. We got $4.99 coming in from Clash2347, been a member for 1 year, saying Dr. Ray spitting facts on parents loving religion more than their children. I'm in a very similar situation. Yeah, I get that, Clash. I know a lot of people like that as well too. And I love that line so much. The parents love the religion more than they love their children. Ooh. We got $1.99 coming in from the awesome Mel Tree Fitty 666 saying, hey, happy Zombie Jesus Day. That's right, folks. Happy Zombie Jesus Day. Eat your crackers if you want, or your chocolate. And then we got one more. We got $5 coming in from a member for 1 year. I am M4C. There's something there that I'm not getting. There is something here that I'm not seeing. So I'm very sorry. I probably butchered your name. It's probably very smart, and it is just over my head. But they say, fan of the show, can you mention where to get the flyers to invite believers to call in? Yeah, there might actually be some watchers out there that don't know that these exist. And here they are on screen right now. And the easiest way to do that is just go to atheist-community.org. You go right to the website, and then you can find that downloadable flyer, and you can post it up anywhere that is allowed to. Okay, guys, don't just start being an asshole and just posting this everywhere. Like, actually make sure you get permission from the places that you're gonna do this for. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, other than that, go crazy, guys. Go print out, you know, shit tons of them and get some people to call in. And speaking of calls, we had a really cool call right at the beginning that myself and our wonderful backup host Sophia got to take part in. Hey, here you are again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sophia.
Hi.
So good to have you back on. Yeah, what did you think? Give us some thoughts for the show today.
I really loved watching you, Dr. Ray, do. So, you know, I also work in mental health, and I was just, you know, Elliot's messaging, do you want to jump in on this call? And I'm like, no, I'm just listening and learning. This is so good to watch.
Thank you.
That was very, very cool to get to see. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of folks are struggling more or less in isolation. They don't necessarily realize there's other people who are going through the same kind of, not just deconstruction process, but the same challenges with family. Because I think a lot of the time, particularly if you're from a family that's never made like a big deal about religion, it's not expected that they'll respond as negatively as they end up doing if you deconvert. You know, it's thought like, oh, well, we weren't that into it anyway, or, you know, whatever that might be. And then it becomes a huge deal. And it can become so contentious. It feels like you get these tests when, you know, I know I'm not the first one to say this, but when you're leaving religion, suddenly you need to know every answer and have the perfect, you know, reason to leave, when just staying feels so easy. Or like you could just, you know, not tell anybody or stay incognito about it. Or people ask why you have to make such a big deal about it when really it's just you sharing your lived experience now.
Yeah, definitely. And it is one of the biggest things that we deal with in this space. And it is, honestly, it is connected to, I think at least, there is a through line from that to the connection when it comes to struggles that we have found in our space, building ritual and building communities and organizations. Because the moment you start passing a plate around at an atheist gathering, everybody says it's like tithing, you know? The moment you just ask everybody to stand up and just join in singing a song, even though it's freaking, you know, send me on my way, you know, that silly little, like you get them to stand up and they go, this feels too churchy, you know? And I get it. That trauma is huge. That affects all of us in so many ways. But that's why the Secular Therapy Project and Recovering from Religion exists, y'all. That's what we got this stuff for. Let's utilize the avenues and the resources already in our awesome communities, you know?
We have a little thought experiment we ask people to do when these kind of issues come up, and that is we tell people that your brain has neural pathways. And those neural pathways are built over time, over and over and over again, until you just do them automatically. Like, you know, I know how to drive my car automatically. I didn't know that when I was 15 years old, but I do now. So the neural pathways are really solid. Unfortunately, the brain can create neural pathways that are bad for you, like religious ideas, and when those religious things get stimulated in your brain, then the brain automatically goes down that pathway. And you don't realize you're halfway down the pathway of being triggered by a song you heard on the radio, a religious song, or your parents call you up and say Happy Easter, and you want to yell at them or whatever.
Yeah.
But so what we try to teach people, even in a non-therapeutic environment, is challenge those pathways and redirect the pathways, and just keep practicing. When I hear that song, I'm going to not let that go any farther. I'm going to turn. I'm going to do another pathway to it. That's my old life. I'm now living a new life. That is actually creating a new pathway. And there's other things you can do, of course, but I think the neurological pathways thing is really helpful for many people once they realize that they're in control of those pathways. It doesn't feel like you are, but once you realize, that's just one of those pathways I got when I still was in church, I'm going to change that. You take a little control over your own life that way.
I love that. And I think that is the perfect segue into you telling everybody one more time what this awesome new initiative you have started and why this is so valuable, and just how everybody can go out there and either take the class themselves or help support this cause so that we can build the next generation of leaders.
Just go to secularleadership.org. You'll see all the stuff about the course and why we're trying to do it. My goal is to train 1,000 leaders in the next 10 years. And that is going to be hard, but we're going to get it done. And we've already got several people right in there helping us. I'm going to train people on how to train this stuff. I will stay in charge. I think it's going to take us about 3 years to get there. But here's the deal. Every church, you can go down the street in my house and find 12 churches within a mile of my house. And every one of those churches has some kind of a leadership program. All I'm trying to do, and all we're trying to do, it's not just Darrel, it's a whole group of people. We're trying to say, look, we got to get out there and teach leadership just like churches do. Only our leadership is based on true evidence-based secular practices that are best practices. And it's important because we want to grow. And I have been so frustrated. I've been involved in the secular movement for 20 years. And I'm frustrated because we are not growing as much as we could be. We've got lots of people out there that are dying to get good leadership, and they will follow good leadership if we just provide that for them. So,
yep.
And if you're a girl, you can do it also, unlike in a church where I was never allowed. So
absolutely.
I was told I could be a deaconess, and I said, well, what does that mean? What do they do? And they're like, well, they organize fellowship. I'm like, they make the cookies? That's what you're saying. They make the cookies. That's what I'm allowed to do. Cool, thanks.
Well, half of our class was female, half was male, and that's the way we like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think there's a real difference in the way males and females typically lead, but both are effective. But there's still best practices, regardless of what you claim or you ask propose in terms of gender or whatever. So,
right. And these, again, like you're saying, these are things that, yes, have been utilized in a religious or church space for a long time, but not because they have a damn thing to do with religion or the supernatural. It's because they are effective practices that work when it comes to leading people and getting results. And that is what we need in this space. So I am super duper thrilled because Darrel, I was really happy to be on here with you and help get this out there to people. I was so excited to be a part of the first cohort. And again, I am going to be coming back for the next round because I genuinely believe in this cause. And I hope a bunch of you wonderful people out there hanging with us, whether it's TikTok or YouTubes or you're seeing clips of this on Twitter or Reddit or whatever the kids are doing these days. I sure as fuck don't know. But thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Please go check out thesecularleadership.org. Please go check out Recovering from Religion and Secular Therapy Project. And don't forget that there are 1,000 freaking ways that you can get involved in this wonderful community right here at the Atheist Community of Austin. But we're done for today. So I'm supposed to say the nice things about wrapping up and how we'll see you all here shortly. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share it to your friends and tell your neighbors about it. And I don't know, your dog too. I don't know who you talk to, but we'll be back at 4:30 p.m. Central Time next Sunday. And I don't know if there's something I'm forgetting, but hopefully at some point we'll just kind of end the show. It'll just happen naturally. We won't even realize.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.